Well, that sucked last night. Am I right? I'm definitely not wrong. Philadelphia Eagles somehow invented a new way to lose and choke against the Atlanta Falcons. We're talking about that here on today's edition of Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Thank you so much for hanging out here with me. I know you're hurting. I know you're frustrated, but we're all going to vent here on the show. And hopefully in the next couple of minutes, we're going to be able to feel better as we look ahead to Philadelphia and look back at what transpired last night, leaving the home crowd at Lincoln Financial Field absolutely shocked and absolutely disgusted. We're going to get into it all, but first, let's start off with today's poll question. Who is the most to blame for the Philadelphia Eagles' Week 2 loss against the Atlanta Falcons? Let me know down in the comments section. Now, obviously, the big conversation today in the aftermath of that Monday Night Football defeat is the decision to throw Jalen Hurts, play action, to Saquon Barkley in the flat, 3rd and 3, 1:45 to go. The Atlanta Falcons with no timeouts left. And Philadelphia decides to go with the passing play to Saquon Barkley. He dropped it. It was an aggressive play call, but the play was there, and it was a great play call considering Saquon was wide open. All he has to do is catch the football, and the game is over. The Eagles, alternative, they could have also run it on 2 consecutive plays. On the 3rd and 3, and then if they didn't pick up the first down, run it again. Whether it be to Saquon Barkley or a brotherly shove, and the chances that the Falcons stop Philadelphia on those 2 run plays, very slim considering the success that Philadelphia had on the ground all night long with Saquon Barkley and with Jalen Hurts. And if Philadelphia did that, you don't even kick the field goal. We could play Monday morning quarterback, in this instance Tuesday morning quarterback. It's frustrating nonetheless. And when it comes down to, for me, you are paying Saquon Barkley $13 million per year. He's a special elite player. He has to make the play. And if he makes the play, we're talking about a 2-0 Philadelphia Eagles team going on the road Week 3, New Orleans, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, in a great matchup in the NFC between 2 undefeated teams. And the hype would have been enormous for this game, for Philadelphia, for New Orleans, but all across the NFL. Saquon Barkley has to make that catch. He dropped it. And now Giants fans are celebrating, and it's pissing me off. The Eagles also, a lot of people don't realize this, could have ended the game before that play call. Matthew Judon on a hard count before the Eagles called a timeout, because they called a timeout before that throw to Saquon, jumped off sides. Nobody reacted. And if you remember during the broadcast last night, Nick Sirianni was irate. And he could be seen saying, get your head in the game. Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, if they just flinch upon Matthew Judon crossing the line of scrimmage, automatic first down, game over. And if you go back and watch that play, Dallas Goedert was in motion from left to right. He pointed it out. He was frustrated as well. And yes, as part of this conversation, Nick Sirianni, in the first quarter, elected to go for it, approaching the goal line on a 4th down. Philadelphia could have settled for 3 there when it was a 0-0 game, and those 3 points could have greatly benefited Philadelphia later in the game, and it could have won them the game. But all of those things are not my biggest issues and concerns with Philadelphia. My biggest issue with the Philadelphia Eagles through 2 weeks, it's Vic Fangio's defense. This unit has been straight up horrible against the Packers and against Atlanta. And Vic Fangio's defense needs to be better, especially with how much money Fangio is getting paid as one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid defensive coordinators in the National Football League. Vic Fangio has seen a lot in his NFL career on the defensive side of the football. Last couple of years, though, his units have struggled a little bit, but he is getting paid big-time dollars for this defense to make massive strides from last year. And this Eagles defense through 2 weeks and on that game-winning drive against Atlanta looked like the Matt Patricia, Sean Desai-led defenses. And I know that the Eagles have been better on 3rd downs. They've been better in the red zone. But that game-winning drive for Atlanta was just way too easy. And the Eagles' defensive rankings throughout the first 2 weeks of the season, cover your eyes. Philadelphia is tied for 32nd in yards per play allowed, 27th in sack rate. They are giving up, somehow, 6.4 yards per carry. That's last in the NFL. And they are 23rd in quarterback pressure rate. And you think about how Howie Roseman has invested in this defensive line. This isn't only on Vic Fangio. This is also on Howie Roseman. Bryce Huff got $34 million in guaranteed money. He's in the witness protection program. Jordan Davis is 6'6", 340. He's just a big body. Jalen Carter did not start the game last night, according to Jeff McLean, because he was late for a team-oriented event or meeting. Red flags for him, and this goes back to Georgia. Get your head out of your ass, Jalen Carter. Nolan Smith was drafted 30th overall by the Eagles. He has some speed coming off the edge, but that's about it. He got out-snapped last night by Bryce Huff and hasn't done anything his first year and change in the NFL. And Josh Sweat said, we're not on the same page in getting after the quarterback with our pass rush. We have to get it together. Same story, different year. He said that last year as well. And how about Bryce Huff? You're making $17 million per year, and in 2 games, you've done this. 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits, 0 hurried throws, 0 TFLs, no solo tackles, 1 assisted tackle. So Bryce Huff in his first 2 games as a Philadelphia Eagle has 1 assisted tackle. Not even a solo tackle. Are you kidding me? That right there is a joke. And Jordan Davis, he's just a fun idea at this point. Eagles draft him, added Georgia. They move up to take him. They take him over Kyle Hamilton, who could really be helping this team right now. Great safety for the Baltimore Ravens. 6'6", 340. He's going to dominate interior offensive linemen. His first couple of years in the NFL, just a nothing burger. He can't even move the pocket. He can't collapse the pocket. He can't even defend the run. And he's 6'6", 340. It's a damn shame. So with all of those players, that is a lot of money and a lot of premium draft capital up front for Howie Roseman and company. And running lanes are wide open. The pass rush is non-existent. And Vic Fangio's defense on the final drive. We're playing prevent when with the new touchback rule, the opposition gets the ball at the 30-yard line, and we're playing 2 deep safeties. Prevent, just giving up. Plenty of real estate. 6 plays, 70 yards in a minute 5. Atlanta able to cut through this Eagles defense like a knife through warm butter. So my biggest issue and concern with Philadelphia is not passing it to Saquon. It's not passing up on the 3 points earlier in the game. It's not Nick Sirianni. It's not Jalen Hurts, who we're about to talk about. It's this Eagles defense. Because in this offensive-laden, offensive-heavy era, this just isn't sustainable when you can't generate a pass rush and you can't stop the run. And if this continues to be a problem all year long, going to be a long year for Philadelphia because their defense is not going to be able to get off the field. And then the other thing that worries me, and this goes back to last year, it's the psychology of this football organization. This is yet another heartbreaking loss, and the Eagles suffered a lot of heartbreaking and ugly losses last year. Will this loss linger? And this Eagles season could quickly spiral out of control. You're on the road against New Orleans, on the road against the Bucs. Both of those teams 2-0. To start the year, both look to be legit. Eagles have to find a way to split. If they drop both, they then become 1-3, and they take on the Cleveland Browns at home at Lincoln Financial Field. Good news is, I think this is an extremely winnable division. It is obviously very early in the year, but we're a few plays away from either being 2-0 for Philadelphia, now 1-1, and that 2-0 start could quickly become 1-3. Now, coming up next, we do have to have a discussion about Jalen Hurts. I thought he played well last night. The interception to seal the game, terrible decision, bad throw, and he is now turning the football over at an alarming rate. We'll take a look at that data coming up just around the corner. But first, let's give a shout out to our sponsor of today's Philadelphia Eagles now, and that is Game Time. If you want to go to an Eagles game, but also you're into listening to live music, or you want to laugh and go to a comedy show, you can get tickets on the Game Time app to games comedy shows, theater events, concerts, and more. And with the Game Time app, they specialize in last-minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed, and you're going to get in the door with the best price point among all ticketing apps. You can access tickets from your phone. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive, and you can also easily resell your tickets. And there are a couple of great features on this app, like Game Time Picks. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, as well as theater. And if you want to go to Eagles Saints Sunday in New Orleans, that's a fun trip to take with some fellow Eagles fans, because you can listen to some great music, you can party hard, you can take down some great food, and hopefully see the Eagles upset New Orleans. Download the app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS. Terms apply. First purchase only. You get $20 off by using that promo code. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. What time is it on this show? It's time to talk about Jalen Hurts. This might be against the grain. I actually thought Jalen Hurts played a pretty good football game against the Atlanta Falcons. And I thought that he was really good throwing the football and very dynamic as a runner. Outside of the interception that ended the game, which was a bad read, he clearly got flustered by the twists and the stunts up front, that five-man pressure. He threw it up for grabs. Jesse Bates made a really good play. I thought that Hurts, without A.J. Brown, performed very well. 23 of 30, 183 passing yards. What stood out to me, the juice and the athleticism is back in his legs. After last year, I thought he looked injured, slow, and indecisive when running the football. 13 carries, 95 yards on the ground, and he totaled 2 total touchdowns. Threw a dot to Devontae Smith for that 1 touchdown score. Brotherly shove on the other one, and then the interception. And I think the biggest takeaway here is how Hurts looked really dynamic as a dual-threat quarterback running the football. He was able to extend plays with his legs in the pocket to throw the ball downfield, and then he had a couple of really critical runs in that game. The 4th down on that touchdown scoring drive, and then the 3rd and 11, where not only does he have the speed, the agility, but he has that power element to his running game as well. And if he can continue to play in that manner and pose that threat to opposing defenses and hopefully limit the turnovers, he can get back to that 2022 MVP runner-up form. I mean, the throw to Devontae Smith, that was a dime. He ripped that throw. And now, in back-to-back games, he had the drop-it-in-the-bucket throw on the wheel route to Saquon Barkley, high-level throw, 67-yard touchdown strike to A.J. Brown in Week 1, where he kind of had to have that pocket mobility, throw it downfield right in stride. And then last night he made a couple of more very accurate throws, plays with his legs. And look at the photo here. Devontae Smith made a good adjustment on that ball, but Jalen Hurts had to put it there because there are 3 Atlanta Falcons in the area. So he ripped that throw. That's a good sign. What's not a good sign is how Jalen Hurts is turning the football over at an alarming rate. In his last 9 games, Hurts is 2-7. That's a team issue and a Hurts issue. His completion percentage is down to sub 64%. He's thrown for less than 1,900 passing yards. Here's where it gets hairy and concerning. 9 touchdowns, 8 picks. And then on the ground, 5 touchdowns, 2 lost fumbles. So in his last 9 games, he has 14 total touchdowns and 11 turnovers. That is not winning football. That is not sustainable football. And let's revisit the throw, the pick, the decision to end the game. The Eagles are 15 yards away from getting within distance for Jake Elliott to kick that game-winning field goal. And Jake Elliott on 50-plus yard field goals, 60-plus yard field goals, and in crunch time situations is arguably the most clutch kicker in the NFL. And on the first drive, or first play of that drive, after the Falcons took the lead, Hurts made a good read to Dallas Goedert, sizable gain, and you're thinking, wow, Philadelphia might be able to win this game in theatrical fashion. All you have to do is get 15 yards, and you have a timeout on your side. There was no reason to chuck that ball in harm's way when there were multiple Falcons in that area, when the blitz was coming, when you know that Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons are ball-hawking safeties. You have to understand the time and the situation. as well as where you are on the field. You need 15 yards. You have a timeout. You don't need to throw it downfield like that. And it was very reminiscent of the mistake that he made against Seattle in a game that was also an ugly loss for Philadelphia, where he just chucked it downfield for A.J. Brown. Check that ball down, live to play another down, and understand that you have one of the best kickers, maybe the best kicker in the National Football League, on your sideline who can connect from 60-plus yards and has done that at Lincoln Financial Field. Instead, he gets picked off. And what's concerning for this Eagles offense, they definitely weren't the same explosive unit last night against Atlanta like they were against Green Bay. And A.J. Brown expects to miss a couple of weeks. Now, Philadelphia did not place him on IR with that hamstring injury, but he told Lisa Salters of ESPN that while he doesn't expect to be out for a long time, he expects to miss a couple of games. And the Eagles do have their bye week, week 5, which is shortly coming up. As for the NFC East in their last 10 games, this also isn't ideal. The Dallas Cowboys 6-4, the Giants 4-6. They have a better record in their last 10 games than Philadelphia. It's inexcusable. It's too talented of a football team. And I'm a believer in Hurts. I'm a believer in Sirianni. But Sirianni, they showed the graphic last night. He suffered 3 losses within the last 2 minutes when leading last year. It's another one this year. It just can't happen. This is a team-wide issue. It's a defensive issue. And Philadelphia has to get past this because if they can't flush it, could be bad. And Washington 1-9 in their last 10 games. Good news is, Eagles are the best team in this division. And they can still win this division and host a home playoff game. But they're so much better than this. They continue to shoot themselves in the foot. So let's round out with this. Let's scale it. What's your panic meter with the Eagles here? Scale it from 1 to 100. 1 not concerned. 100, the seat is hot. Let me know. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.